if necessary. If necessary, as an option. I mean, again, from a mechanical point of view, what we don't want to have to do is put the brakes on, and stop the thing because of the stresses involved. I've got 3,000 colleagues who work in concrete bunkers in Singapore, and we don't let them out, and except when we want to file a patent. And I'm sure that somebody somewhere is looking at that stuff. Here in Portland, we are not involved in fundamental R&D. We're involved in selling and servicing and working with our customers to design projects. So, yeah, we read the articles, but none of that stuff is really within sneezing distance of being commercial. So it's not a big part of what our customers are talking to us about. They do say, and by the way, if anybody comes to you with a reasonable storage solution, let's talk. But hydrogen seems like it's pretty far down the basic R&D path right now. Well, we have the biggest and best storage system here in the Northwest, and it's nothing fancy. It's the hydroelectric system, right? You put water, at elevation above a generator when power is cheap, and then when you want power, you run it back down through the generator, and we've been doing it for decades, and it's energy storage. And it's increasingly difficult operationally because you got to run that system, to preserve salmon habitat and other river fish. You've got to run it to produce electricity. You got to run it for navigation. So it's really a complicated management problem. But we do energy storage every day with that system. It's like a big wet battery in the Northwest, and it's great. We hope we never have to do much of it, but the more wind turbines get installed, the more demand there's going to be. So I think the answer to the question is to just look at the map, and I can get you a map and show where the wind turbines are being installed. And the boom in this country in terms of installations was really 2007, 8, 9. And you just think most of those turbines were sold with a 2-3 year warranty. So a lot of them are dropping off warranty right now. And we, on the original equipment manufacturing side, we want that service business, but there's plenty of, smaller shops out there that would like to step in after that warranty and provide those blade repair services. What a manufacturer has that the smaller guys don't have is we've got the R&D capacity to know how the thing was made, how it was designed, and to continue providing, aftermarket upgrades. Perhaps less so on the blade side than on the electronic side, but still, working with the customer so that even if that turbine is 10 years old, we're still coming to them and saying, we can upgrade your software so that you can squeeze a few more kilowatt hours, megawatt hours, out of it, even though it's an old machine. But there's plenty of opportunity, to catch on with one of these independent outfits and provide, basic, simple services at good value. Well, actually, the question's about the Oregon Institute of Technology's Renewable Energy Engineering program. It's a bachelor's program, an accredited engineering program that, includes solar, fuel cell, wind, other, biofuels in its instruction curriculum. I'm on what's called the Industry Advisory Committee, so I'm actually going to a meeting tomorrow. They feed us lunch, and we come in and tell them, what we're looking for and what we think of their curriculum. And, if they're in trouble for funding, then we stand up and say, we really like this program. And, people tend to listen when potential employers say that kind of thing. I actually started doing it before I got to Vestas, when I was at Energy Trust of Oregon, which supports energy efficiency and renewable energy projects in the state. And when I got to Vestas, I said, this is a good program. And they said, yeah, you're right, it is, so keep doing it. If you're interested in an engineering degree, I don't know how that matches up against the curriculum here. And I'm not, advancing one program over another, but I certainly believe in that program and, you know, have a personal commitment to it. I should also mention, you know, a couple of you, some of whom are already gone, asked me about small-scale wind turbines, and I didn't address that directly. There's a role for small-scale residential wind. It doesn't happen to be what Vestas does. I mean, we operate at scale, and our stuff is big and getting bigger. There are plenty of companies that make solid, you know, small-scale products, and if I were interested, I'd call the Energy Trust of Oregon Small Wind Program and ask them, you know, what products are available, what incentives are available, and what contractors are registered with the Energy Trust as being, you know, credible outfits here in Oregon. So that's where I would go for it. It's, you know, it's nothing that we're against or that we think is a bad idea. It's just not our business. I don't know. You may know more about small wind than I do.
I can speak a little bit to that. We've done probably 4 or 5 small wind residential projects, and it's challenging because you have to go through the local community development, and typically they don't like things rising too high, and you need to be up to a certain point to get that consistent 12-mile-an-hour or above wind, and so it makes it very challenging to get through that. And also for small wind, as big wind, maybe not as important, but for small wind, you got to keep in mind that there's a lot of moving parts, and you're paying about the same as you would for a solar array to put the same amount of electricity out. You need a lot of space because you need it guy wired down, so you need some real estate for it, and those small wind components, they're moving all the time, and you got ball bearings in there and things that break down. So that's traditionally why you're not going to find many people who are willing to do a small wind project for you, because they know that the service involved and things like that, and the economics just doesn't pencil out for the same energy that you could get out of a similar size solar electric array.
Our customers are the best people in the world.
Gold.
So who buys 112-meter rotor wind turbines? There's really 2 basic sets of customers. The huge majority of the market is what we would call independent developers. Sometimes you hear people talking about independent power producers, and these are companies that build wind projects to generate electric power and then sell it to electric utilities. And, you know, maybe part of their business is building natural gas plants to produce electric power and sell it to utilities. You know, they're independent developers. Nobody is required to buy their product. They have to get a contract usually with the utility to sell it to them. Sometimes they have a little more risk appetite and they're willing to kind of sell on the open market and just see what turns up. Most of them are independents. Over the last few years, kind of the profile of these independent guys has changed. I'd say 5 years ago, it was a lot of mom and pop, sort of local regional developers who would lease some land, you know, go out and talk to some ranchers and some farmers, put together some land leases, work through the permitting process, get their permits, talk to the local utility, get a power purchase agreement, and that was kind of their one pony. And they'd do that, and they'd finish it, and then they'd move on and work on another pony, right? In the last few years, there has been an absorption by a lot of those guys by global, mostly European, energy companies. So Energia de Portugal is a Portuguese company, went global, and they bought up Horizon, which was a local Texas-based wind developer. And they do business here in Portland. They've got an office. Électricité de France is the French utility. They bought up Anexco, which is headquartered in California. Enel is an Italian company. They bought Tradewinds and a couple of other outfits, and they're doing business here. E.ON, German company, bought up a few others. You know, and there's a few more like that. So you'd still have a lot of local regional players, including some here in Oregon and Washington, and some of them are developing their own projects, but some of them take the project up to a certain point, they get all the permits together, they don't really have the capital to buy wind turbines and install them, so at that point, they sell the project to somebody like one of these big outfits that I'm talking about.